Hello, welcome to the Pillow Thoughts closing reception. Thank you for participating, and I look forward to hearing your artist talks. My name is Rhoda Dizan. I'm one of the co-curators, along with Lynn Watanabe and Heather Ellison, who's back there. This is going to be kind of casual, sort of a conversation, between all of us. And I just wanted to give you a brief history about this Pillow Thoughts exhibition. It's not really a long history since it started last year. Heather, Lynn, and I were in an art gallery management class in El Camino College, and our professor is Michael Lewis Miller, who works at the Los Angeles Municipal Art Gallery. And he said to get gallery hours for the class that we could volunteer at his gallery. And there was a show called Actions, Intersections, and Conversations. And Nicola Atkinson, a Scottish artist, was there making pillows. So we helped her construct 78 pillows. We had to iron the covers and stuff them, and also sew them and figure out where to put them on the wall of this installation. And what Cup Thoughts was this huge fika exhibition. Does anyone know what a fika is? Well, basically, a fika is sort of like a coffee break when you're at work. People take it in Sweden. They take it 3 times a day. It's sort of like English tea time, where you stop and you take coffee instead of
Is it an acronym?
Oh no, it's not an acronym. It's just, I think that's what it's called in the Swedish language, like a break. A break from the world, and you have to stay with your coworkers. You can't go anywhere. You have to It's like you're forced to socialize and generate.
I don't know if you're forcing this one.
Huh?
I don't think you're forced.
Forced? I guess it's just,
No, I'm just saying they're basically is part of the traditions. They kind of it's a way of communicating so that you're not working in a break, and then you can talk about things, and so it enables a release of just a kind of gentleness. So it actually makes people more productive.
Oh, it makes people more productive?
Yeah, just to have that relax. So you're actually just doing something, having cake and coffee 3 times. So.
Yeah, and that's very different from, Sweden's very different from here, where we're all busy, or we can't really take a break. And she was through this exhibition, she was sort of exploring the idea of how do we take our coffee? Do we take it on the go? Are we on our phones? Are we on our computers? We don't have time to really talk to people. So she took this idea, and in Sweden she gathered 101 people to take a fika, where they all drank coffee in cups and saucers, and she numbered each cup 1 to 101, and she decided to take this exhibition to LA at the Municipal Art Gallery a year later, because that occurred in August 2009. So when she transferred it over to Los Angeles, it was around January when that was happening. And what the Swedish people could do, since they were part of that Cup Thoughts exhibition, they could request people that they wanted to have their cup. Sort of like sharing their cup with someone. So some people requested Clint Eastwood or Kat Von D, someone famous, to see if they would show up. And so these cups and saucers were transferred over to Los Angeles for another Cup Thoughts exhibition. So it's sort of the exchange of tangible objects, and also the exchange of ideas and conversations. And when the show was over, she told that she pretty much donated the fika pillow wall to us, and told us she wanted us to do a similar social interaction, community-based art activity. So that's what brings us here today. So I guess we should have our first speaker.
This piece right here. And I did want to speak a little bit about this concept of a single object given to different artists or people. This is, has an old tradition. I'm coming from the 70s and 80s, kicking ass, in the sort of in the punk era, but mail art, M-A-I-L art, was something that I got in because I did a project beginning in 1975. I had a Volkswagen bus, and I sent a card out. I wanted to put questions of the week to go on the side of my van. And I mailed it out. I got some lists from some people, friends, and groups, and an art group, and so on, others. I sent it all over, and I started getting all these things to put on the side of my VW bus. that got me into the Mail Art Network, which is sort of a thematic. There's a theme, there's a concept, such as this show, which is pillow thought. So there's an object and a concept in, that can link us all in this show. Of course, I forgot, I lost my pillow. I didn't know where it was. I forgot about the theme. And I went through 3 or 4 concepts of what I could do. I make bundles. I've got into sculpture. I'm a substitute teacher, LA Unified. I'm a poet. I go in and out. I go on binges, so to speak. It hasn't helped my career. As far as my creativity, I've kicked some ass and had a lot of fun. I haven't made a lot of money. But now I focused on bundles. This is sort of an old concept of mine, sort of put into a new wrinkle, so to speak. I understood, I'm also a member of the LA Mud People. And unfortunately, I didn't do a Mud People object, which was my first idea. It might have been just mudding this up really thick, and it'd be like a really heavy thing that you probably wouldn't want to sit on that might work better in your yard. Well, I didn't do that. I didn't, and the next concept, I thought of impaling it with taking it into more of a sculpture, adding more 3D elements to it. That was a concept that I've been toying with in some of my own work, which a good concept, that's what you're working with, to me, in a piece that you are given. What the hell are you going to do with it? Are you going to do what you usually do? Are you going to take it to other levels? I mean, ideally, well, something new comes out of it. You're stretched. And this did it for me. Then I came up with another idea, which I was going to actually create one of my balls, which is line. My palette is line. I find cords and sticks and stalks and branches and stuff, and recyclables, and I make, I make bundles and things. I was going to make a ball around this so that it would be somewhat lost, but yet seen in there. But I realized that was going to take too much of my time. I had to get it to you guys. So I collected from my yard. I have quite a real nice Dracaena Draco tree, which the Huntington Gardens people have seen my tree, and it's one of the big ones in Los Angeles. They're in the Dracaena family, but they're 30 feet tall. And these are the leaves. They fall off. And I collect them, and then I keep them, and then what do I do with them? I don't know, but I've made a few bundles over the years. This is the recent one. And I decided to mount it on a slightly mudded pillow that you guys were gracious to give to me. And here it is. And I did want to make it just a quick thing. My wife made this pillow. This is her first show. She has never shown before. She collected a pillow. She went through her processes, and I'm so pleased with this. And I wish she could have said something, wanted to be here tonight, but she made something that I really think is pretty cool, and I'm happy she's in the show, and thank you guys for inspiring her to do it.
This pillow's name is Petropia F. Pilowski. And she's a very dedicated woman. And she has lived a life sort of like a monk, being of support and giving comfort to people. And actually, I had a dream about Petropia F. Pilowski when I was a little boy. And actually, there were hundreds of pillows, all of them in the choir. And there was this old man with gray hair leading the choir. Years later, I found out that the old man in the dream was Norman Mailer. And he had a black eye. Anyway, he was leading these pillows in song. And all of these pillows were singing, M-I-C-K-E-Y-O-U-S-E, Mickey Mouse. And then it was Petra Pia's role to say Donald Duck. But she wouldn't do that. She would say Louis Tunes. And so they were singing, Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse. I'm nervous. And then she would say, instead of saying Donald Duck, she would say Louis Tunes. And I had this dream when I was a little boy. And years later, I changed my name from Richard Hall because I always felt dumb with Richard Hall. I felt like that was a dumb name. I never really liked it very much. And so I changed my name to Louis Tunes. I thought, well, that's a pretty dumb name. I'm used to feeling dumb. So I'm going to call myself something I can feel good about because I picked it. Anyway, she told me to play it straight, Petra Pia. Anyway, she has been living this life of sort of like a monk, and she's been very spiritual about her place in life, and but she had to experience the other side just once. And she asked me if I would help her do that. And I did. And there you have it. There it is. Any questions?
What was the funnest place that she went to?
Is that the one with the glasses?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, actually, we went to Mother's Market one night.
Oh, okay.
And actually, the best photograph I think that I got was there was a classical guitarist playing guitar in Mother's Market, and he had the pillow sit next to him on his amplifier. And he made a big face and got a picture.
Well, see, back then I didn't know it was a boy, and now I realize she was flirting with him.
Yeah, she was. Yeah. She wanted to be kind of butch. So I made a fool of myself for you all.
My piece. I got it. I remember you. Yeah. I saw my friend's exhibition with you all, and that's when I picked up the pillow. And when I thought of a pillow, I was thinking of like, oh, where you lay your head, and what in dreams and mythology and that kind of thing, and like weaving into your dreamscape. And so I came across the story of Arachne, and Arachne was a maiden, and she was an exceptional weaver. And she was beautiful and young, and she was an amazing weaver, and everybody loved her. And Athena got wind of her and came down dressed as an old woman. And she says, yes, you're very good, but don't think you're better than the gods. And she said, I'll take Athena on. So she got mocked, right? And Athena was like, oh, let's go. So they have a challenge. It's a weaving duel. And Athena weaves this tapestry of the gods. And it's gorgeous, and the gods are beautiful, and they're exalted, and it's fabulous. And then Arachne weaves a tapestry of the different shapes that the gods take when they come and mate with mortal women. And like Thor and Zeus and everybody. So what she's doing is kind of making fun. And so what Athena does is she casts onto her a spell of guilt and depression. Just what a young girl needs. And Arachne is so guilty and so depressed that she hangs herself. And Athena life, and she says, but you'll never be the same. You'll always just weave for us. So she takes her fingers and transforms them into legs, and she becomes the spider. And to me, you know, people use that story as a way to say, like, don't get too big for your britches. And for me, it was like a power structure story of a young woman an artist. You know, what Athena was doing was, hi, you're missing me. So what Athena does is she does exaltation, she does craft, she does imperfection. And what Arachne was doing was art by questioning and making fun of and bringing it to another level. And so I took the stuffing out of Arachne to show that she'd gotten the stuffing taken out of her. And she's in the process of transforming. And to me, I wanted to see her continue to weave. And although she's still the spider, she'll weave, you know, she can still seduce, or she can still help young women seduce. And I use seduction. It's supposed to be seduction in all of its facets as an artist, as a young woman who wants to achieve, and then, you know, I'm just kind of like visually what is seduction would be very sexual. So she's continuing in her life, it's transformation and continuing to weave, because art is of humanity and it's not of the gods and it's ours. So Arachne, come on!
I came especially to see the show. I'm kind of like sort of mother of the show. And when I came, I was just totally blown away by everyone's work. I was not necessarily skeptical, but it's really hard to get lots of people to participate and the quality to be so complex and so heartfelt. When I talked to them about it, we talked corresponded by email. I talked about structure, who you would get, how selective you would be in terms of the curatorial process. And sometimes it kind of happens naturally. I've done projects where I've sort of thought I need 25 people to participate, and I find 25. But initially, I don't know if I'm actually going to find those people. Just to give a little background, you probably knows what kind of work I do, but for about 23 years, I've been doing socially engaged practice and public art. Initially, my beginning of my career did video, and also I sold work. And I found selling work not very interesting in a sense, because you were collected by people and that you became possessed by them in a certain sense, and they took you out to dinner. And then I got interested in doing installations because I liked the idea. My initial work had people in it, and I took out the people, and the people who would come to the installation would become the piece. Consequently, there was no necessary capital in that, but it was kind of a gift, and I got this whole notion of doing things that are in a sense a gift, and that people would receive them. I did a very, I suppose, my first kind of really quite interesting project was in terms of engagement that really opened my eyes. It was during the time I was a baker, that's how I made a living. And I would work in the bakery, and all the bakers would say, I would be tired, and they'd say, oh, you've been having sex all night? And I said, no, I said, no, I've been making art. So I had this art, and I had like this fantasy sex life that they had, and then I had the work. And I realized that a lot of people work, and people don't have time to see things. And so I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to have these two parallel worlds kind of become coexisting? So I did a piece on 18th Street in Washington where I superimposed the landscape on top of this urban block. And then I had to convince the people around the block where they would hang these maps and basically participate in this superimposed another world. And with that project, everybody said that the other person was not interesting and not creative enough, but they would participate. And the whole of the block participated by the idea of them feeling the ownership. And what's funny about that project, I unified the actual city block by everyone. I was the conduit, in a sense, for peace. I wasn't under always an illusion that actually that in a sense art can permanently change things. For the moment that I had done it, for a moment they had felt transformed by the piece, but they also hated each other. And because in 1993, during the riots, I was watching TV, and that block was very much in flames. And people called me up and said, "Nicola, your block is in flames." Like, it suddenly became this piece. I said, "It's not my block, it's their block," you know. And then I've done work that, in a sense, is like a conduit, in a sense, with people. So I don't necessarily create pieces. The people create pieces with me. I actually create opportunities where people can then participate. And then, like I did a piece in Scotland where I walked across a 6-mile route and asked people to lend me a teaspoon and some buttons. And part of it was to have a teaspoon chandelier on one side and a button tower on the other. And I just basically went and tapped on doors the whole of through Glasgow. And initially, the kind of how it revealed itself was I had suddenly made a bond with these people. I was borrowing something. If I borrowed something from you, whatever it was, you want it back. It was all to do with trust. And the other thing is I had to actually get enough spoons for the chandelier, but at the time, I was always in the moment. And I was going to be for 3 months, I stayed for 10, because I was returning them all. And I borrowed like 1,300 teaspoons and buttons. And then people were waiting for me. A woman called me the day before I in the schedules, "Where are you? My family told me that, you know, that you shouldn't trust anyone." So it's quite an intense project. I met Michael Miller, who curated the show at Barnsdale many years ago when he was a student. And I did a piece at it was a USC atelier on Santa Monica. And he was basically an invigilator there. And I drove him nuts with this soundtrack of a creaking sort of chair that kind of married itself with the sound of the actual creaking building, and the sound of a quote from Tessa Dovedale's. So anytime I actually say that to him, he goes crazy. So that's how we met. And we became kind of good friends, and in terms of like the work and the way I work, because part of that was like, I had these structures and you could come in and polish the rocks. So it was the idea of non-possession. You'd be in a shopping mall and you'd rearrange rocks, and I'd have dialogue with these polishing rocks. Lots of things. So when I met with Michael and he said he was doing the show, I was just so excited and delighted that he had invited me. And we were, at the time, you know, just having dinner, and I was talking about, you know, basically, this is kind of a interesting revealing thing about this project. I was making these little tiny cups, and we started talking about cups, we started talking about relationships with cups. And I said, well, what if I do something in Sweden and it will involve the fika? And so in a sense, the ceramic were made from a miniature. And then during that time, so that was decided that I would go back to Sweden, and there's a big festival in Lidköping, which is where the cups were made, where they have a porcelain festival, where they have this catalogue sort of display of people throwing stuff. So you actually can see this. It's a great tradition. And they embraced the whole project. And 101 people, obviously, as said, basically drank from the cups. And to me, what interesting and challenging when I was here was I then asked them to request people. It was like people themselves, so I sent on the quest to find that. And then during the installation, or just actually as I arrived, I was very tired from jet lag. And I noticed in Barnsdale, they had all these notices: do not touch the wall, do not drink anything in the gallery. So that was quite exciting, because part of it was just going to be an event. And then I realized that actually, what about having a coffee shop? And that would be the first coffee shop they've ever had in Barnsdale. And through the process of art, I could actually do that. And what about having so that people can actually lean against the wall? The wall become a resting place. So in a sense, slightly subversive, not necessarily that extraordinarily subversive, but a sort of kind of gentle subversion in a sort of municipal gallery. And during the time, I was just thinking about pillows. They 3 walked in, like going, okay, I'm going, oh my God, I'm thinking about pillows, and they've come in. So they came in, and I said something, and I assessed I asked them if they could sew, and I did like a bizarre interview, and then they disappeared for 3 hours. I thought, oh my God, what did I say? So I thought I'd just line up all then I became like a little production, a bit for cutting, and a bit for sewing. And because I thought you'd never come back. So I thought it was so crazy. But then during the process, we got all into these pillows and pillow language because they're all different sizes. And we all very much have relationships with pillows, but they're that kind of pillow size. So just slightly making the different sizes. And I had, in previous projects, I like the idea that things get recycled. So I did a project in Havana where I did this piece which I divided up, it was called sea painting, and you'd go into it, it's made of silk and chiffon, it was a beautiful feeling, but also part of it was the idea of giving something back to people, people could have part of this piece, so there was the wood, silk and chiffon, but there's also these fluorescent lights. Now, at that time, a fluorescent light would be like 3 months' salary there, so they told me that I couldn't give them away to the public because there would be a riot. So I was working with a curator, and she's my translator, and I said, I'll give them the 15 fluorescent lights and you can curate a show called Fluorescenta in Havana. So it kind of sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. It worked out brilliantly with her, and I thought well, they would do a brilliant job. But you need real champions. You can inspire people, but they don't do such an amazing job. You know, they could like half-ass do something. But that's part of what happened, and I'm just so moved to be here. Thank you.
Sarah, my pillow is over on the wall over there.
With the rest of the pillows on the wall over there?
Yeah, it's called a Hillbilly Dinglebox. I don't know. I just came up with the title very quickly, which is kind of typical for me. Sometimes I realize I work on art, but I don't necessarily have a title in mind. A lot of times what I'm doing is very, mostly almost all the time spontaneous. I mean, I really don't know what it's going to be sometimes until I'm actually working on it. And of course, having a pillow that's totally white, blank pillow, I don't usually feel intimidated. A lot of times people talk about you have a blank piece of white paper or something. Some artists, I guess, have a hard time getting past that point. I'm usually good about that stuff, but for some reason I'm looking at the pillow and suddenly I'm thinking, what do I want to say? Or what am I going to do with it? And of course I'm thinking pillow thoughts, pillows. You know, one thing is just thinking about how people relate to, I mean, what is the commonality of pillows, I mean, that everybody has. I'm thinking that's when you're at rest, that's when you're asleep, that's when you're comfortable. Maybe it's something that you reach for when you're feeling insecure, or, I mean, all those things. In this case, it sat around for a while, and it was funny because I know there's a Facebook page that everybody was invited to put their thoughts down and maybe just kind of keep you up to date with whatever the progress was that was going on in the pillow, which I did sum up, not a lot, a little bit. But when I finally got started, it was kind of funny. I've been trying to get ready for a garage sale. I have, where I'm living right now, the garage, it's funny. I'm from a fairly big family. I have 4 sisters, I have 3 brothers. But this one garage, for some reason, has become a catch-all for everybody. It's, oh, can I put something in the garage? And it becomes one of those things, so you're finding unfinished projects, things that they think that they want, but they don't know that they really want. And it's like a big limbo going into that garage. I had this one jacket, or actually it was a suit that my mom had given me some time back, which was a suit that my dad wore. It was like a very 50s suit. And the thing that's funny is my dad is like, this is my dad. I was like, why are you giving me this suit? It doesn't even fit me. But I used to, I actually wore it for a little bit, and I think I kind of had the Michael Jackson thing going on, because it's like, the pants are really short, you can see my socks, but I'd wear it, and I had fun with it, but you know, eventually the suit got forgotten, and it was in the garage, and of course I've been thinking all this time, what am I going to do with this pillow? And when I was in the garage, I came across, I'm throwing things out is what I'm doing, I'm kind of trying to clean up the garage. I come across the suit, and I'm thinking, I just don't feel good about tearing this suit out. What can I do with it? I mean, it's a mess. It's like, you know, it doesn't look nice anymore. It's got little parts that are messed up, and some are frayed, and some are, you know, when you wear clothes, sometimes you just get things on, and it's you know, there's a certain point, it just needs to be thrown out. I tore it apart. I kept the parts I thought looked good. I sort of threw everything in a big pile and sort of thought about it for a while. But eventually I got around to it. So it's basically, it's a men's 50s style suit that I tore apart. It's all the inside of the jacket mostly, a little bit of the lining. And I was thinking folk art, is what I was thinking. During the summer I had worked as a camp counselor for a children's theater in Redondo Beach over the summer. And one of the projects that I had the kids working on was folk art, with the idea that folk art is just whatever you come across that you can use. You know, it's not like going to the art store and finding things. This is what, you know, I'm going to get these art materials and now I'm going to make something with it. It's, so we gathered up what we had during the summer with the kids, which was old scraps that were used for costumes that were being made for the kids and stuff like that. And we cut out little, well, I cut out little outfits for the kids, and they said, go ahead, you know, just fill them in. And the show was about hillbillies. So I wanted to go with that same idea. And so what I did was I did have some canvas, kind of a material that I drew the hillbillies, but basically I kept it very faithful to what the project had been for the kids. And so I took that same inspiration, which was the hillbillies, and then of course all the little, some of the little extras were things I got from my friend Lori Nix, who's also in the show. But like the little dingle bobs I stitched on, that's like stuff that she just happened to come across, yeah. And it was just funny because I mean, color-wise, it all worked. So it was just kind of one of those, I guess, happy accidents, or maybe she just had I don't know, did you?
I had a premonition.
Okay, you had
You did those.
Okay. So, but anyway, the whole thing came across, and when I started working on it, I actually had a little note that I had written on Facebook that said, "Big Frankenstein stitches are taking place on my pillow today," because that's how I sew. It's like crazy stitching, and if you look at it, you can see. But I like the lines around the jacket. I mean, a lot of the stitching is just what was already there, but I pieced it together, and that's the way it came out. And I, like I said, I just tried to stay faithful to the idea of folk art and kind of the inspiration I pulled from the kids over the summer. Because, you know, kids always have very, they're uninhibited. You know, their ideas are very fresh a lot of times.
Kids added all the cleavage. The kids added all the cleavage.
All the cleavage. Yeah, actually, it was funny. There were drawings that the kids had done where it was very funny because it's like they're young kids, but yet the women have cleavage. And there was one picture where it was like the hillbilly man was like this very old guy who had like man boobs underneath his overalls. So I kind of firmed everything up for everybody. So that's kind of how it came out. But I don't know. That's all I can think to say about it. But that was the process for putting it together. So anyway, thank you.
I brought an artist statement because I thought, well, somebody can pick it up, but I'll just read it. My angst concerning the Sham 69 pillow did start, but I had three concepts when I first picked it up. It was really cute. It was the only one left that was not square, so I gravitated toward it, and I saw that, surprisingly enough, the number was 69, so all sorts of thoughts popped into my brain. So let me just read this. It had several false starts because I had these three great, fabulous ideas, including this one, which was the same day, but they didn't actually work out. So first, I decided it was going to be this sensual dream pillow, because I used to make a lot of dream pillows. And so I filled it with sensual dream-inducing herbs, and read to it nightly. I actually have a picture showing it, the Pava Karma Sutra. I'm like, here. And hoped it would conjure erotic pillow thoughts. I go, what the hell, you know? It's I'll journal these thoughts. But unfortunately, the sachet that's still in there, for some reason, I don't know what combination I used, I started to have, I'd be sleeping and I'd get this sort of allergic reaction to it. I was like, okay, too much rosemary or something like that. And it wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. So, you know, I kind of like, was that my head, and then eventually went to the foot of the bed, and eventually probably fell on the floor because it was disturbing my sleep rather than inducing dreams. But nevertheless, I journaled for several months of my dreams, hoping that, you know, oh, if I have a sexy dream, then I can like do some sort of great embroidery with some symbol on it. And, you know, I was getting a little discouraged after a while. It's called menopause. So I was going to document it by embroidering and all these great ideas. But the resulting scarcity of erotic, let alone romantic dreams, was very frustrating on a variety of levels. So I got really angry at the pillow, and I thought, well, let's see what can I do with it. I'll have my guinea pig, which is on the website. If people are, what is that strange animal? I'll say, maybe I'll just leave it in the cage and see if he decorates it himself. You know, I'll go for that. And he, you know, he kind of weed on it once, and then he left it alone. He was done with it. And it wasn't that, you could hardly notice that, you could hardly see it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to have to think of something else. But I did have an idea. When we picked them up, we were going to a friend's birthday party. A bunch of old punk rockers, 40 and 50-year-olds, unlike me now. And my friend Elise was having her birthday party. And I thought, isn't this great that I got Pillow 69? You know, if I can't think of anything, I'll make a Pillow Sham 69. And I'll explain who Sham 69 is, because that's an actual band. And I go, but only ancient punks will get this bizarre illusion. And I started thinking about, since the erotic dream Pillow didn't work out, I thought I better embrace the pun. And I don't know if any you people have them, but pillowcases with the faces of pop stars and tiger beat heartthrobs and bubblegum musicians once graced many a tween's bedroom. Even today, the latest Disney boy band, this is really nice, or girl pop-tarts emblazoned on tween bedding to both tempt and delight. And fan pillows have an attested history, and you can find them. The first one I ever saw was a vintage Beatles pillowcase with, you know, with all their little heads so you could sleep next to them and kiss Paul or something. No, I'm aware, I don't think anyone's going to admit to it, that any punk skin or boy, girl, or boy in 1977 would have admitted to having one emblazoned with the oh-so-attractive and dreamy faces of the band Sham 69. If you take a look at it, you'll see what I mean. I thought, okay, it's funny, I'll do that. So I just want to give you a little idea about the band, because most people in America have no clue, and some people in the UK have no clue either. This is their wiki. Sham 69 are, they're still together, an English punk band that formed in Hersham in 1976. Although not as commercially successful as many of their contemporaries, albeit with a greater number of chart entries, Sham 69 has been a huge musical and lyrical influence on the oi and street punk genres. The band allegedly derived their name from a piece of graffiti that the founder, Jimmy Kersey, saw on the wall. It had originally said Walton Hersham 69, but had partly faded away and made reference to when Walton and Hersham Football Club secured the Athenian League title in 1969. So. And I always thought it meant something else, actually, when I first heard that. I was like, oh, okay. But this is their story.
Nasty.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought, because they were, you know. Sham 69 did not have the art school background of many English punk bands at the time, and they were kind of, you know, street thuggy kind of fellas. They brought in a football chant backup vocal and sort of inarticulate political populism. And the band had a large skinhead following, both the left wing and right wing and non-political, which helps set the tone for the oi movement. And if you're really not knowing what I'm talking about, there's a song that, I'm trying to think, who did a song about oi? No Doubt did a cover of a song by the Vandals called A Christmas Song, Why to the World. So that's what they're talking about. Yeah, it's their Christmas song. Their early concerts were notoriously plagued by violence and the unwanted attention of the National Front, which is white supremacists. Their best known songs are If the Kids Are United, which is on there, one of the patches, and Hurry Up Harry, which became a political slogan recently in the 80s when the Prime Minister, Harry, was running. They actually used that song. From Trouser Press, this is my favorite little description. The archetypal working class Ramalama Dole Q band deliverers of socio-political bromides over blazing guitars, Sham 69 had a bad case of arrested development. Their popular slogans were ultimately chanted like football cheers and taken seriously only by the enormous British Sham Army, which is like the KISS Army, it's like their fans. Arguably, their best single, Hurry Up Harry, is about the importance of going down to the pub. And lead singer, lyricist Jimmy Percy was earnest enough, and the band simple and basic. And although their records are of no lasting import, according to Trouser Press, Sham became the most popular UK punk band of their time, scoring 5 top 20 hits. Go figure. And that's what, this is my little ode to them. If I was this tween somewhere who was badly in love with the Christian voice, I made the patches and the arms and all that stuff. So.
Sit down if you want.
I'll just stay here. She's all set.
You're fine.
So my pillow is the one hanging in the barred window there. So I guess the process for this pillow actually started shortly after I received the pillow. I got a neck injury that I'm still battling. And so the thought of a pillow is very painful because going to sleep at night really hurts. So initially I opened up the pillow because I wanted to shove nails through it so that nails would be sticking up out of it, because that's kind of what I feel when I'm thinking about laying down on a nice comfy pillow, is this like shooting pains. And it was really a process piece. I mean, it started out with the nails, and then I wanted to make it, stiffen it up. So I started pouring the wax on, because the wax to me was like skin or some sort of a sore. And then I wanted to highlight where the wax was, and so I poured the ink over the top. And then the nails started falling out, and I noticed that the light looked really great through it. And so to me it was kind of this healing moment, I guess, without being cheesy, but so it just hung in my studio for a while, just with the sunlight coming through, and I just took all the nails out, and that's pretty much what this was about. I mean, it was really neat for me because I've only been out of grad school a couple of years, and I think in grad school I'm so heavily focused on the concept and what is your idea, and before that all my work was really process-based. And so I got really hung up on that, what's my concept, and so this was really fun, just to like, I don't know where I'm going, you know, and just go with it. And so it's been actually really neat for the rest of my process and the rest of my work, you know. I've started just trusting that again, so that's it. Yay!
Pieces all the way down the hall. It's the large monsters installed. All of my work since I finished graduate school, which is many, many years ago, has been installation-oriented work, which always incorporates a number of layers of things. And my primary interest has always been art in public places, having people be involved in the process of the art making, and allowing people to actually participate in touching and feeling and the tactile qualities of what the pieces are. So when Lynn gave me this piece in May, I had asked her, like a couple of days later, do you care what I do with it and how big it ends up? Because I could actually see this whole room around it. And she said, I don't know. And I went, okay, well then it's fair game. Whatever's fair game is fair game. So when I first got the piece, it sat in my studio on its little chair, and I looked at it for about a month. And then I went to this graduate, high school graduation thing I volunteered for, and I ended up with this t-shirt, this extra oversized t-shirt that was a security guard t-shirt that had security on the back and the logo of the high school on the front. And I came home and I literally tossed the t-shirt on the pillow. And the next morning I woke up and I went, oh cool, this is great. I now may have a security blanket for my pillow, perfect. From there, it evolved to a number of dreams about what pillows meant to me and what they mean to me. I looked around my house and realized that I literally have hundreds of pillows in every corner of my house. And I have 6 pillows on my bed alone, and they're not for anything but comfort. And I realized that they were so important to me and how much security was there. And I started dreaming about the dreams that actually entered the pillow and never left. And so this process that evolved, all the layers on this piece, are literally about dreams that I had about the piece and the security and the layers, the photographs that are hanging off of it on cards, because it ended up being we're all dealt the cards that were dealt, and there they are. But each card that has a photograph on it has a photograph that's been incredibly meaningful to me when I've taken. And then there's a little basket in the front if you investigate the piece that has 2 playing cards in it, which are those are dreams that haven't been filled yet. So they're waiting in the piece. My artwork is about fulfilling my spiritual side, because there is so much energy that flows through me when I'm creating that I attribute it to the universe at large and not a smaller space inside myself. It's kind of an overwhelming consciousness. So people are welcome to touch the piece and feel it, and yes, there's a snake skin in there. And it has, I could talk about all of the layers of things that are on there, but I don't want to bore you. But if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Yeah.
I was going to say, when you start, does everything happen all at once, or do you kind of build on it?
No, it just happens in layers. The pillow started with me knowing that I was taking the pillow apart and putting a real pillow, quote unquote, inside a down pillow. I knew I was filling it with feathers, and inside the pillow has every single fortune that I've ever saved, because most of my work has fortunes in it. So I took all the fortunes that I had collected and had left and put it inside the pillow. And that's how it started. It started about fortunes and dreams and security and energy fields and life and all of the things that are important to me in my life.
You have a beautiful fetish, a beautiful...
Yeah, it is. It's a fetish piece.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And there's a lot of power in there, and it's very personal.
Yeah, thank you.
Digital frame on the wall in the hallway. And at first I was trying to figure out how I was going to do a digital frame and incorporate the pillow with the frame and all that, because I really wanted to do the video. And I couldn't figure out how to do that, and then Lynn said, well, you can just put it in your video and not actually physically, melt the 2 together, which really opened things up. So I actually am converting my garage into a studio, so I shot it on the garage floor on a tripod with it horizontally mounted. And I told Lynn, I said that I think I might get an award for most dramatic performance on a garage floor.
A Webby Award. A Webby Award.
So I thought with Pillow Thoughts it would be more like a dream, what I would dream about and then express during the darkness. And so that's what I did. So that's all.
My name is Diana Martinez, and my piece is Delilah, which is the one next to the door on the left-hand side. And this is my first time ever doing anything like that, artistic, really. Well, I did graduate with a degree in film, and stuck in a baking job. So I guess you could say I let out my frustrations on this pillow, and I just kind of depicted what beauty and comfort mean to me. I'm totally obsessed with Incubus and with Brandon Boyd and his arts, as well as his tattoos, and so I guess you can see a little bit if you know who he is and what he has on him. You know, kind of dreamy stuff on the pillow. Yeah, I was pretty much encouraged by Rhoda. She's my best friend too. And, you know, there's jewelry on it, also, which to me is beautiful, and I just thought this was all about comfort. So I kept it simple, and it's appreciated as well as everything else. Thank you.
The history of this goes back to almost a year or two before this event tonight. I remember, I guess it was 99, talking to Nicola as she was visiting Los Angeles for another project about the possibility of doing some sort of a relational aesthetics project for an exhibition that Edith Abeda and I were curating at the Municipal Gallery, which actually happened in January of this year. And Nicola was here this time last year starting to work on finding the 100 people for the Cups Thoughts project. And eventually, as we worked through the process of that installation, suddenly the wall became, it was going to be a quilted wall or something, or fabric, and eventually that became pillows. And Lynn and Rhoda and Heather all came to work on that project with Nicola at the Municipal Gallery, which was really this great, amazing thing that happened. And so Nicola had this great idea as a gesture to thank those people, Heather and Lynn and Rhoda, to have them take those pillows and do some other project with them. So it sort of continue this idea and this sort of relational aesthetics project, which I thought was really a great idea. And so this is the culmination of that project, which I think is just, you know, truly amazing, that all the artists that created all these wonderful pillows and pieces and the stories behind them, and that they're going to go on to live with other people or with the original artist, or that sort of thing. And so for me, as the curator of this Actions exhibit at Barnstall, you know, it's sort of still alive through this project and through all the artists that, you know, are continuing making this kind of work. So I have to thank all of you for participating and, you know, making that vision come, you know, to fruition. So thank you.
And that's my pillow over there. It's funny that for the film school, I went to film school. I went to USC Film School, and basically I think dreams cost money. And so basically the whole thing was kind of an archaeology that I did. In my grandma's house were all these lotto tickets. Didn't win, obviously, and she saved them for some reason. There was like $990 worth of lotto tickets. They're all like about $5 increments, some of them are $1, and I just started noticing the pattern of them. And the way I got into FD Film School was I was like a 15-year-old high school graduate, and I got rejected from USC and called Mr. So it was like, Mr. Sheridan Sotelo, you are rejected. So I was like, now they call me a boy, and so I went to Cal State Long Beach for 2 years, and I said, I'm going to make it there, that kind of thing. So it was a lot of, you know, that kind of tunnel vision and, you know, getting in, you know, didn't know anybody, wasn't the son of Ron Howard or anything like that. So essentially, the way I got it was we did loans, and my grandpa gave me a $16,000 loan, and we did like a tuition prepaid program. And I never paid him back. And so this was kind of like, a way to sort of pay him back. I like did that silk screen when I was in Cal State Long Beach trying to just all about film, all about film, all about film. And now that I've been in the industry for however many years now, it's, you know, it's about money, but it's, you know, it's the interest. It's like, what happens to a lotto ticket afterwards? Like, if you took that $5 and you put it in a bank, you would actually have some interest and a little bit of stuff. But this is like the dreams that everybody, you know, takes that little investment and it's about something larger. So I think that's what education and everything, everybody goes, oh, it's so expensive, but it's about taking a little bit and making it larger. That's it.
Is the one that's sprouting. And basically just wanted to say that my pillow, nothing happened to it for a really long time. It just hung around in my studio. And then I decided that sometimes as an artist who is also working at various jobs to make enough money to support my art habit, I sometimes have to hold on to my dreams for a while. I have to kind of just keep them with me. And I was like, okay, somehow I got from that thought to I'm going to bury it in the backyard. So I buried the pillowcase. I took the stuffing out, I buried the pillowcase in the backyard. And it happened to rain over the course of the month that it was underground. And so I was like, cool, maybe there are going to be some wormholes in it, and you know, maybe, you know, it'll change somehow, it'll be kind of dirty. And then I went to dig it up after a month, and it was almost all gone. That I had not planned on. So I was like, you know, like there were just shreds. There were just like the little outside edge of the pillow left. And I was like, okay, change of plan. So I sewed a whole new little pillow, and I tried to piece together as best I could. It's up there on the table. I tried to piece it back together the best I could, and then, you know, sort of going with the underground theme, I decided I had to add sprouting potatoes. So my big anxiety over the last 2 weeks is how fast are they going to sprout, and are they going to rot, and who knows? I've never used sprouting potatoes in my work, but that's the story.
Pillow to my sister, who I lost after she had gone through a lot of pain and finally decided to end her life. I don't want to bring everybody down here. I wrote all about it there if anybody wants to read. The only thing I want to say is that if somebody in your family is saying that they're very upset and they're saying that they might take their life or something like that, take them seriously. That's all I'm going to say.